Welcome back, witches. It's Charlie. This is going to be my video for the other Wandavision sequel series, the Agatha Harkness Coven of Chaos episodes. They just announced a bunch more of the cast, the details, and people who are coming back from the Wandavision series, along with other major MCU characters. We also learned about some of the other cool connections that it has with the other upcoming Marvel movies, the other series, and obviously Elizabeth Olsen's Scarlet Witch coming back for this as well. It also seems like we learned about an adult version of Billy who's coming back as full-blown Wiccan during the series. Like, we've seen the young version of the character during WandaVision and Doctor Strange too, but now it seems like we're going to see the adult version of the character finally show up. I literally just did another WandaVision sequel video that's going to be all about what happens to White Vision. That's a completely different series. I'll post a link to that video at the end of this and down in the description below. If you're new to the channel, I'll be doing episode videos for all these when they start. Be sure to subscribe to get them. The Agatha Harkness Coven of Chaos series is going to premiere first though. The White Vision series Vision Quest isn't going to come till after that. The reason why we learned all this Coven of Chaos WandaVision sequel stuff is because they're literally starting to shoot right now. But the biggest news is that Elizabeth Olsen and Aubrey Plaza are going to be on the series. Obviously Elizabeth Olsen playing Scarlet Witch. Aubrey Plaza is supposed to be playing one of the villains during the series. Hearing this, I know everybody's going to ask, is she still playing the Shadow King? Is she going to be a version of her character from the Legion X-Men series? That would actually be amazing. Everything is connected. We also learned about a cool connection with the Ironheart series and Anthony Ramos's Hood character. Mephisto, yes, I actually said Mephisto, supposedly played by Sacha Baron Cohen no less. They also announced a bunch of lesser characters that are going to be on the Coven of Chaos series, but I'm going to talk more about the bigger characters during this video. Obviously, it's meant to be a direct sequel to the events of WandaVision, just like the White Vision show, and they've changed the title to Coven of Chaos, which tells you a lot about what the show is actually about. Like, it's Agatha Harkness' show, but she's basically building a coven in present day in the MCU. In the chaos in the title is a reference to Scarlet Witch's chaos magic, as in her coming back to the series. If you're not a huge fan of witches or witch-based magic lore, covens are just what you call groups of witches who band together. During the WandaVision episodes, in the flashbacks to her origin story, you see she was alive during the Salem witch trials era, hundreds of years ago, and her own coven, led by her mother, turned against her when they found out that she'd been dabbling in forbidden dark magic and using the Darkhold. More on that in a second, because I think what she was doing with the Darkhold isn't totally over, even though Scarlet Witch destroyed the Darkhold temple that Chthon built during Doctor Strange 2, which destroyed all the copies of the Darkhold book by default. And that was meant to be across the entire multiverse. Like, there was one Darkhold temple that all the Darkhold books across the multiverse had been copied from. Once you destroy the temple, it automatically destroyed all the books. But the show is meant to explain what Agatha Harkness does after she breaks Scarlet Witch's chaos magic spell she put on her, trapping her in that fake life as Dottie, the wife of Ralph Bohner. So make all your Evan Peters Quicksilver jokes. I know there's still a ton of questions about what was going on with Ralph Bohner Quicksilver. But at the end of WandaVision, Scarlet Witch trapped her in that life with her chaos magic, and basically the same thing that happened to Odin in Thor Ragnarok happened to Agatha Harkness. Like, Loki made Odin forget who he was using his magic for a little while until Odin was able to break his magic. Agatha Harkness did the same thing. She's a very powerful witch in the MCU, it just took her a little while longer to break the chaos magic spell. Since then, in the background, like while we've been watching all these Marvel movies during Phase 4, she's slowly been building her power base back up, pulling strings, influencing other lesser magic users in the MCU. They're doing the same thing with her that they do with a character like Namor in Black Panther 2, presenting them as more of an anti-hero, not like a straight-up villain. And they kind of did that during WandaVision 2. Like, she wanted her chaos magic, but there was also things that Scarlet Witch was doing that were more dangerous that Agatha Harkness was worried about.
You have no idea what you've unleashed. You're gonna need me.
Here's where we get to the connection to Ironheart, Doctor Doom, and other big magic users inside the MCU that they're slowly setting up. It's all about the battle of magic versus technology, because that's what they're doing in the Ironheart series. That's why Anthony Ramos's character is in the series, because he's a magic user, but he also uses guns, and why would you use guns if you're a magic user? The whole idea is he's supposed to be working for Agatha Harkness during that series, and you talk about the battle of magic versus technology, that's basically core Doctor Doom. He's a man of science and a man of magic. Like, what is the relationship between magic and technology? That's just more of them slowly setting up Doctor Doom in the background when he eventually does show up in some future movie. Agatha Harkness might have a cameo during the Ironheart series just to reference her connection to the Anthony Ramos Hood character, but that's also supposedly where Mephisto is going to show up for the first time, played by Sacha Baron Cohen. The events of Coven of Chaos episodes are them just dealing with Agatha Harkness's new master plan and setting up larger magic-based villains and characters in the MCU. It's a lot of the same energy as the Doctor Strange movies, with just more of a supernatural bent. Like, they just kind of started to tease that during the first Doctor Strange movie in Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness. Like, there's a lot of other magic-based villains out there in the multiverse that are slowly closing in on planet Earth. And even though we've been making all the Mephisto jokes and there's all these rumors about Sacha Baron Cohen, the bigger magic-based villain is Chthon, the god of chaos, the person who gave Scarlet Witch her chaos magic powers. And Aubrey Plaza is supposed to be playing one of the main villains during Coven of Chaos. Now, keep in mind, during that series, they're playing Agatha Harkness like she's more of an anti-hero, so if Aubrey Plaza is playing the villain, she'd have to be somebody who's way worse. Yes, it is totally possible that she could just be playing her character from the Legion series. She was a version of Lenny Busker, but then secretly basically was playing a version of the Shadow King controlling Lenny Busker. So most of her time on the series was actually her playing a version of the Shadow King. It'd just be amazing if they just brought that character to Coven of Chaos in the MCU. They've already brought Patrick Stewart back as a version of Professor X from the X-Men the Animated Series. They're also bringing Deadpool and Hugh Jackman's Wolverine from the X-Men movies as well in Deadpool 3. If she's playing a totally new character, somebody completely different, there are only a couple human-based, villainous magic user characters like Morgan Le Fay. If they just decide to change that a little bit, she'd be the top pick. Because virtually all the other human-level female witches, female magic users are either good characters, like fundamentally good, like X-Men characters, or runaways like Nico, who isn't an evil character. So they wouldn't be villains during this Coven of Chaos series. But she also might just be playing a straight-up demon or god. There are a couple big gods in the MCU that are connected to what happened during Wandavision, Doctor Strange 2, and a connection to the more magic-based, darker characters, like Agatha Harkness's character, for instance. Chthon, the god of chaos, that's where all the Darkhold temple plot during Multiverse of Madness comes from in Doctor Strange 2. They barely touched on that. Like I said, I think they were just kind of setting things up that they would deal with in a future Scarlet Witch solo movie. There's also the Lilith character, Mother of Demons. She started as a human who fell to darkness, succumbed to Satan's influence, and became his bride in ancient times, and ever since then has just been doing a lot of large-scale demonic stuff in the MCU. Mostly connected to the Ghost Rider mythology. There's also Lady Death, like the cosmic concept of death, which they teased during Thor: Love and Thunder. It just depends on how big you think of a character Aubrey Plaza is playing. Like, is she going to be playing a demon, a god, or just like another character that they pull out of Marvel Comics? Most of you have probably seen some of her other Marvel-related stuff, like she was on the Legion TV show. She's played a lot of other demonic characters, so this is something that she really enjoys doing. Like her own personality, she really enjoys witches, witch-based culture, Halloween just in general. So it's sort of like a dream come true for her that she was cast in this MCU Agatha Harkness show. Elizabeth Olsen coming back as Scarlet Witch is fairly self-explanatory. I already talked about that during my White Vision video a couple of days ago. Like, she didn't die at the end of Doctor Strange 2. Her chaos magic powers protected her. The bigger thing, I think, is the idea that they might be doing an older version of Billy, or Wiccan, played by Joe Locke from Heartstopper. In the comics, Billy and Tommy's actual backstory is super trippy, and what they've done with the characters in WandaVision, Doctor Strange 2 kind of lean into that. Like, she created them using her chaos magic, but then she took them away with her chaos magic. They weren't quite like the other Hex creations, but they're also multiverse versions of the characters. The whole idea in Doctor Strange 2 is that in the 838 universe, there were versions of Billy and Tommy that Scarlet Witch or that Wanda hadn't gotten rid of by dissolving with her chaos magic. Like 838 Wanda had just kept them around permanently. And in the MCU, as we've seen during WandaVision, Billy's powers are basically the exact same as Scarlet Witch's, with just a couple minor twists. Like, the energy given off by his powers have a blue energy, not a red energy. But he can warp reality just like she can. He's also a mutant, he has clairvoyance, telekinesis, pretty much anything that Scarlet Witch can do. The funny thing about Billy in the comics, though, is they never exactly explain where his powers actually come from because of his unique backstory in the comics, which is a little bit different than the MCU backstory. I think they'll just simplify that in the MCU and just say, oh, he just got his powers biologically from her, like she just passed them on to him, and it's a result of her chaos magic abilities. Because of what they've done with the character in the MCU so far, like we've seen multiverse versions, but our 616 Wanda basically got rid of her versions of Billy and Tommy with her chaos magic. The adult version that we eventually see, possibly during Coven of Chaos, if that's who Joe Locke is playing, could just be another multiverse version or from a different plane of existence. And because Elizabeth Olsen said that she wanted to do more X-Men movie crossovers now that they had the X-Men back in the Marvel Universe Scarlet Witch solo movies, I also think one of the movies that Coven of Chaos helped set up, because all the Disney Plus series are meant to set up future movies, will be the next big Scarlet Witch movie where they cover a lot of her chaos magic backstory and what's going on with Chthon, the god of chaos. Like, remember that weird plan that we had in Doctor Strange 2? Like, why did he create the Darkhold Temple? What did he want Scarlet Witch to do with her chaos magic? Why was he trying to use her to conquer the multiverse? There's just a lot of open plot threads that they set up during that movie never fully answered because, like I said, they plan on answering those in other future movies and series. But the basic idea is that Chthon, the god of chaos, was trying to use Scarlet Witch as a backdoor to conquer the multiverse. Like, he wanted to use her power in the Darkhold Temple to conquer the multiverse, and then he basically turned her into a finger puppet and rule through her. One of the big things with a Darkhold book is that they're basically consumed by the book, driven mad, or they're taken over by Chthon, like he'll take over their minds. If we have any luck too, we'll get multiple seasons of the show. But if you have any other big questions about what's going on with the Agatha Harkness Coven of Chaos series, just write them in the comments below, and I'll do more videos as we get more footage, trailers, and learn more about the characters. Everyone click here to learn about the other WandaVision sequel, the White Vision series, and click here for my new Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania trailer video with a whole bunch of Kang the Conqueror. Thank you so much for watching, everyone stay safe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.